In this video, we'll be taking a look at one college football game happening on December 22nd, 2025, and providing you with a free team pick and total pick for this game. So 2 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on this one college football game after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Washington State versus Utah State. Albertson Stadium on that blue turf in Boise sets the stage for this one, with Washington State and Utah State both sitting at 6-6, one game away from turning a very average season into something that at least looks respectable on the final line. Oddsmakers clearly see a tight matchup, with the spread hovering around a point or two either way and the total posted just under 50 at most major books, which basically screams coin flip with some scoring but not a pure video game box score. From the Washington State side, you are talking about a team that has spent the year in realignment purgatory, grinding through a weird schedule and still cobbling together 6 wins in a season that could easily have gone off the rails. Their offense has not exactly been a fireworks show, sitting at a bit over 21 points per game, but the trade-off is a defense that quietly holds opponents to just about 20 points a night, which is good enough to land them in the top third of the country in scoring defense and keep them within striking distance almost every week. Utah State walks in with a very different energy, more like the pickup hooper who never stops running and is perfectly fine trading buckets all afternoon. The Aggies are putting up just under 32 points per game and giving up a bit over 28, which is basically the statistical definition of fun but stressful football. And it fits a tempo that has them snapping the ball in the mid-20s in seconds per play, right up in that fast tier nationally. On the other side, Washington State works at a far slower pace, around 30 seconds per snap, near the bottom of the FBS, which naturally limits possessions and forces opponents like Utah State to be more patient than they really want to be. Honestly, that stylistic clash is where this spread handicap starts to tilt. The Cougars lean into a controlled, slightly stubborn approach that pairs a measured offense with a disciplined defense, and that style tends to age well in bowl games, where 1 or 2 blown drives can swing everything. Utah State's profile, for all its appeal, leaves a lot of room for high-leverage mistakes, especially when you factor in that they are coming into this one missing some offensive firepower because of players sitting out or heading to the transfer portal, which can rattle timing for a team that relies so heavily on rhythm and tempo. The Aggies are sitting at a pretty 10-2 against the spread this season, and you know how that goes. When a team keeps covering like that, bettors start treating them like an ATM, but the numbers usually catch up, especially in bowl season when odds makers tighten everything up. So the real question is not, can Utah State keep this up? It is, why is Washington State the one catching points here in the first place? This is a Cougars group that walked into Oxford and went toe-to-toe with Ole Miss, went to Charlottesville and very nearly knocked off Virginia, then headed to Harrisonburg and had James Madison sweating it out deep into the game. Those are playoff-level programs or teams that fought for big-time conference titles with a real chance to punch a ticket into the bracket, and Washington State went into all 3 of those spots and came away looking like they belonged on that stage. Utah State just does not live in that neighborhood, at least not on paper. Let me explain why that matters for the spread. Utah State's current perception is almost completely built on what people remember from tickets they cashed over the last few months, that they always cover feeling that sticks in your brain longer than it should. They have been a cash cow, so the lazy assumption is that they will keep printing money, and that kind of thinking is exactly how bettors get burned in bowl games, where past against the spread success is already baked into the line and often priced a little too rich. If Washington State brings the same edge, the same focus, and the same physical level they showed in those road tests against top programs, then this starts to look like a game where the Cougars control the tone, and the Aggies are the ones hanging on. Utah State is not really built to stand up to that version of Washington State for 4 quarters, plain and simple, which is why this comes down to fading a team whose profile is screaming regression instead of riding the hot hand. Wrong side favored. As our first pick for this matchup, the Washington State Cougars to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. This matchup almost feels like two different sports spliced together, which is exactly what makes bowl totals so tricky and, if we are being honest, kind of fun to sweat. Washington State's games have been relatively muted from a scoreboard standpoint, with that 21.6 scored and 20.2 allowed working out to something just under 42 combined points on average. Utah State lives at the other end of the spectrum, landing around 31.8 on offense and 28.2 allowed, so their typical Saturday is much closer to 60 combined points and often feels like someone accidentally turned the difficulty down a notch on defense. Here is the thing, when you mash those two-game environments together in a bowl setting on neutral turf, you usually do not get a perfect average of the two styles. More often, the pace of the faster team tugs the slower team along, especially when the slower team is not a ground-and-pound clock bleeder but more of a methodical, modern offense that can still throw the ball when it has to. Utah State's tempo, which has them snapping it in the low to mid-20s in seconds per play, naturally creates extra possessions, and those extra drives tend to inflate totals for both sides, not just for the team that likes to speed things up. Bowl games also bring out a certain why not, let us try it mindset from coordinators, with more trick plays, fourth down gambles, and gadget looks than you typically see in the middle of a conference grind, and that kind of looseness usually favors scoring more than defense. Add in the environment in Boise, with temperatures in the low 40s Fahrenheit, some light showers in the forecast, but nothing that suggests a brutal wind game or a snow globe situation that would completely suffocate the passing attacks, and you still end up with a setup that can support points if either side finds any rhythm. So if you blend a lower scoring defensive grinder tendency from Washington State with Utah State's history of high scoring, high possession games, plus the last game of the year, let us empty the script bowl energy. It is not hard to imagine this turning into a game where both teams have multiple chances to cash in drives and push things past the number, especially in the second half when urgency kicks in and both sidelines are done saving plays for tomorrow. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.